Hey everybody, sorry for the sun behind me, but I wanted to come to you and talk to you a little bit about today's job. Today's job is up in the mountains of western Colorado near Ouray. If you don't know anything about Ouray, check out the $1 Million Highway online, or Ouray. A lot of people say it Ouray if they're not from the area. It's Ouray. And as you can see, we're actually pretty high up. The mountains around us are high, getting higher as they get into the snow area. I'm dealing with a little bit of a situation here. This is common in this area, especially winter time. Let's see if I can get you where the sun's not beating down on the camera and you can actually see what's going on. So this all is where it snowed, and then it's been packed, and now it's thawed and frozen and thawed and frozen, and now I'm trying to get this 7,000 pound lift up into here with my 4Runner. So I had to air down to about 20 pounds of air pressure, PSI, in the tires. I always carry a pump. I only have 32-inch tires, so I always run the Viair 88P, I think it's called. You can get that on Amazon. I love that pump. I've been running it for years. This all comes from my off-road experience, and I always carry a tire air gauge as well as tire repair kits for this kind of stuff, because you just never know when you're going to need that extra traction and whatnot. I'm running the Goodyear Duratrax. They are working really good. This is the third season in the snow, but I've got to get this up the driveway so that I can get down a sketchy Aspen that's dead right by the porch that's all crowded inside a fir tree. And we've got to do some other trimming and stuff. This here is just one of the aspects of work with the snow and all this that you have to keep in mind in winter tree service. Access is a big thing to consider. Some jobs I just tell them they have to wait until next season because they have cabins up in the mountains. Other jobs I can do, but I have to be aware of what my vehicle can do and what my setup is. Chains are a viable option, but man, they take forever to put on, so I try to avoid that at all costs. Studded tires, not a bad option. These Mountain Peak Snowflake tires are good options as well for 90% of what I do, but you have to keep that in mind and evaluate what's happened climate wise in your area. This is about an hour and 15 minutes from town, so if I come out here and I can't do anything, it's a wasted trip, and I've already rented the lift. So keep that in mind when you're doing your work. Bid for that and make sure that it's something viable to you. And then also think about logistics of everything, how you're going to get it in and out and all that kind of stuff. So I'll show you a little bit more about what the work is that we're doing here. And now I'm going to try to get this thing up into the driveway. So as you guys can see, here's the Aspen that I've got to take out. See how crowded it is inside this. I think that's a fir. that, you know, has got it all crowded. It's nasty. This is, beside it being crowded, I didn't feel comfortable climbing it. I could have climbed in the fir, but it's so crowded up in here. It would have been really hard to get into that. So I've got the lift today. I ended up having to go off the street, take down their pole fence, come off the street to get in. As you can see, the deck is really close to this thing. I've got a fire pit over here I can't mess up. And so I'm gonna do some speed lining on the top, and then some of the wood, depending on how heavy it is, I might rig out on a pulley and it runs down as you drop the line. So we'll see if I'm gonna do that or not. I'll have to figure out how I'm gonna work all that, and I will show you as we go on. So this is the house that I've been working on for the past few days. I did some clearancing to the level that I find appropriate for clearancing most structures. So especially with these firs and these pines out here, I tend not to clear over 6, maybe 8 feet. Sometimes I leave them as low as 5 feet off the structure, not because I want more business in the future quickly, but because these things don't tend to hinge over. Especially in the winter, they become brittle and they tend to snap. And if you clearance them really high up, not only can it off balance the tree, but it can actually snap, and then a big butt end come down and slam on the edge of the house or the roof or whatever, or bust these. Like, they have windows at the ground level almost here. So in this case, I definitely didn't want to go over like 6 or 8 feet. Just enough for sunlight to get in. The structure to be clear of rubbing limbs and moisture, something to hold moisture. Same thing on this edge of the house as well. Just didn't want too much off of it. This ponderosa and a lot of these trees out here have been, not just at this house in general, have been heavily trimmed on the bottom sections. And if you've ever climbed a 120-foot ponderosa with all its limbs versus one that's been trimmed up to like 40 feet or 30 feet or 50 feet, like some of them are here. I've even climbed one that was like 150 feet tall, and it was trimmed up to like 80 foot for the view, so that they could get a view of the valley, and they move a lot more. So I try to not off balance them too much, and I try really hard not to over trim them if not needed. And these aspen here, they had some dead in them. They're not real great aspen. They're not horrible either. You know, around here it seems that most aspen growing close to houses don't fare tremendously well. And this is in a higher elevation. This is up in Ouray. So that's one thing. But like, what I did notice is every one of these trees have cankers and have fungi in them that are sapping out or bleeding out. And what that means is, it just simply means that it's like pretty much every other aspen in Colorado, because it's very, very common. But it does mean that they're most likely going to die a slow death. And if you have aspen around your home, you need to keep an eye on that. Now, there is something that I noticed with one of them. Let me see if I can find a stick. Makes me not overly concerned, but definitely makes me aware of some potentials for the future. You can get a little bit better. I had to clear off a couple of limbs on this fir here to give me access to, I took down this aspen right here by the deck. I don't know if you guys can see that. And for me to get the boom in, it was dead. That's the one that was super sketchy the other day, that I showed. I don't know if I have a good stick, but let me see if I can find something for you guys. Sorry about the sunlight. I've got this little short one here. So in between these two aspen, see these cankers and the sapping in them, all that fungi in there. Right there is a prime example. I don't know if you can see that clearly. It's pustules and sapping heavily in this red fungi. that's super common, but it does show that they're not like super healthy either. What interested me though is that this whole area here where I'm hitting sounds pretty hollow. When I was thumping on it earlier with a log, you can hear it better, a longer stick. But the trees are good currently. They're dense, they're moist, they're humidified, so that's not a problem. You can see where they fight off infections a lot in Aspen. Aspen are super, well, let me say this, they're super seemingly fragile trees, but they actually endure quite a bit of disease and fight it off. There will get to a point though where they just won't any longer. That's just how it is. So that will eventually mean that they need to be removed. That happens in nature too. It happens out in the forest. So if you have that around your house, it's not super uncommon. I mean, there's like 5 common kinds of canker, and I think there's like 12 kinds of disease and canker and a number of insects that attack aspen here in Colorado. So yeah, they're a thin bark tree. They grow in masses, and one dies and the others thrive from its death, and that's how they are in nature around houses. There's usually only a few. Usually they do better in multiples. The bigger the grove in front of your house, actually the better they do. So if you only have 2, it's probably not going to do as good as if you had like 10, but that's not a guarantee either. So I don't know, I kind of got sidetracked onto aspen because that's a very common thing here, and that was one of the situations here. If an aspen dies though, do not wait. Have it taken out. They become sketchy really quick. Wind can break them very easily, and they can become a hazard for your family, your home, and for the tree people doing your work, the arborists. So I charge more for sketchy trees because I'm putting myself and your property at risk, and I'm reliable for that. So just know that. And I hope that this was beneficial for everybody, arborists or others who are watching, and I hope to see you guys in my other videos. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to check out the description of this video for different links, affiliate links. If you buy through those, they help me keep the channel going. Also, check out Elevated Office Podcast, the podcast of the life of a tree climber, which is mine. And hopefully you'll benefit from all that kind of stuff. So thanks, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.